still is what we do. Light 'em up, drink 'em down, whiskey and cigars all around. Cheers, y'all.
Well. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine little audio and video catastrophe known worldwide as the world-famous Smoking and Toasting. We are here for show number 180, and we are very excited about bringing this show to you because we think it's going to be a really good one, because joining us, one of our favorite people to ever have on the show, and we basically now just refer to you as Smoking and Toasting's wine expert, Marc Borel from the Rainbow Lodge. Marc, how are you, man?
Cheers. How are you? Well, happy to be here.
It's so nice to have you, and I'm thrilled to have Ian. I think are you still with me? I may have lost you. I'm just seeing a picture of you. I don't know what's going on.
Well, I'm here. Are you not seeing me at all?
I'm seeing a frozen picture of you, and it says
right.
RM.
Well, ignore me for a minute, and I'll see if I can figure it out.
All right. Well, in the meantime, we have Marc Borel on the show to talk today about the best wine to drink during the apocalypse. Because, after all, this is about as close as we've gotten to the apocalypse and, most of mankind's existence. And I'm just looking behind you, Marc, and I can tell you're ready. You're what they call a prepper.
I am.
I've
got plenty.
Yeah, it's perfect. So, no, it's a little weird because both smoking cigars and enjoying wine, craft beer, spirits, it's such a social thing. And we're in this very strange time now that social interaction has changed completely. And there used to be a stigma maybe attached to drinking alone. There's not anymore. I think we lost Marc. So, Adam, I don't know if you're able to reconnect with him. But as soon as we got Ian back, we lost Marc. So,
great.
I told you it was an audio-video catastrophe today. And that's exactly how it... Oh, there's Marc. He's back. And Marc, we may have to turn your camera back on because I'm just seeing Ian's, ugly face. So, actually, Ian, I have to say, you look good. I haven't seen you in a while, and I miss you, brother.
Thanks, man.
It's a nice nice to be able to do this at least. There, Marc is back with us. Marc, we were just talking about drinking and smoking has a tendency to be such a social thing for us.
Yeah.
And our whole social rules have changed, at least for a while during this time. Kind of takes away the stigma of drinking alone, doesn't it?
Absolutely. My couch is seeing a bunch of action for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm assuming that you can guide us towards some good wines to try during the apocalypse. So we'll hopefully be able to talk about that today. I do want to mention we are brought to you by B&B Butchers and Restaurant, 1814 Washington Ave in Houston, and in the shops at Clear Fork in Fort Worth. By the way, we had the question on last week's show, was B&B open for deliveries? Yes, they are. Not for deliveries, but for curbside pickup, and you can still, of course, get a steak and take it home and deal with that too, which is not a bad deal. So, what about you guys at Rainbow Lodge, Marc? Are you still serving people out the front door?
Oh, absolutely. Curbside takeout with both wine and cocktails. We have some made some cocktail kits that are okay to take out the door and legal and so we're having fun with that, and people not only that, but we as you can tell, we have quite an extensive cellar, and most of the wines on the cellar are half off, and so I encourage folks who want to stock up or dive deep into the cellar or get a really good gem for not a lot of money to give me a call and let's figure something out.
Wow, so this is a great time maybe to try that special bottle you've been wanting to try that you were maybe saving up a little bit for.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially in times like this, we need something good and something positive in our life, and I think a really nice bottle of wine does.
Do we just call the Rainbow Lodge and ask for you, or do we just call the Rainbow Lodge in general, or?
Yeah, no, you can call the Rainbow Lodge. Ask for me now. You can't throw a stick in here without finding a Marc, so you got to ask for the wine guy. But
Say the wine
but
guy. That'll be you.
yeah, you bet. But I'm happy to help navigate and find something that actually fits your tastes and something that I think you're going to really enjoy.
Well, maybe what we'll do is we'll give you a couple of different price ranges today, and you can make a suggestion for the best wine to self-isolate with.
I love it. I have a few things picked out, I think.
All right, awesome. Looking forward to that. The one, of course, the big drawback for us, Marc, is that we're not getting to actually share these wines with you. So you'll have to. You'll have to be just. Well, you'll have to be descriptive.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. But it gives me an opportunity to open a few bottles.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Now, Ian and I will be tasting some beers and spirits. Ian, what you got on tap for us today?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that there, Cruz. Because what I have here is hadn't seen this before. This is a can of, and I think Adam has a better picture that I sent him just in case. This is a can of Over the Moon Milk Stout from Guinness Brewing.
Now, this is so interesting because you did a Guinness product last week, so you may be going through a Guinness phase here, are you not?
Well, I see them. You know, my wife is such a fan of Guinness. She'll try anything by Guinness. So when I see new and interesting stuff, I just pick it up, and it just happens that the last couple weeks we've had that. And then I brought one of my old standards. I don't remember if we've done this on the show, but if we did, it was so long ago it doesn't matter. And that would be the Founder's Porter. And it says right there on the label, it says dark, rich, and sexy, and it is all of those things.
It is all of those things. Well, that sounds terrific. What about spirits, Ian? What are we tasting in the spirits category from your collection?
Now, isn't that a good question? Because I totally forgot to grab one and bring it out. But I'll go do that in just a moment.
Okay. Well, it's interesting. Let me go through what I'll be sampling today.
Good. I'll be right back.
Four Hands and Shared Brewing Company got together. Four Hands out of St. Louis. We've had their stuff on the show before. They've been terrific. They have put together a double dry hopped hazy IPA that's called Street Soda, which I thought was an interesting name. And so we'll be trying that one today. I love these collaborations. In fact, both beers I'm going to be tasting today are collaboration beers. The second one is from NOLA, out of New Orleans, of course. New Orleans Lagers and Ales is what NOLA stands for. And it's their team up with Southern Pines Brewing, and it is a peanut butter espresso bonbon stout. So I'm looking forward to trying that as well. Now,
anything that says bonbon stout is just decadent.
Yeah, Ian, my spirit today, I thought would be really interesting to taste the Yellow Rose single malt, because I thought I already have it. There's no way they can stand us up like they did the last two times they were supposed to be on the show. But here's the beautiful thing. When I prepared, and I do the show from a spot on my balcony outside my apartment so that I could enjoy the cigar. And when I prepared, I brought out everything except the Yellow Rose. So it
still didn't show. I wish you knew how to express your disappointment.
I know. Self-expression has always been, a struggle for me, as I'm sure you guys can tell. So at some point, I will go get the Yellow Rose, and I'll be tasting that as well. Cigar industry and the spirit industry. Oh, very nice.
So I went in and snapped up my Knob Creek twice-barreled rye, secondary oak finish cask, 100 proof, 50%. And as you can see, I may have sampled this before.
You may have put a small dent in that bottle, yes.
Yes.
You twice-barreled means obviously two different kinds of barrels, correct?
Mm-hmm, finished in two different barrels. So obviously the secondary oak barrel, I don't know if it says anything more on it. It doesn't have a lot of information on the bottle. It just says secondary oak finish. So that'll be fantastic. Marc, I want to go back to something you mentioned a little bit earlier. This has been a very a little bit of a bumpy opener for us, but we sure do appreciate having you on the show. You mentioned that you had
sort of a cocktails to go prepared there at the Rainbow Lodge. Now, I realize every state's liquor laws are different, but at least in Texas, have those laws changed or shifted during the virus? Okay, so how did they change?
The governor has relaxed some of the restrictions on wine to go. Now, back in September or August, he has allowed us to allow third-party delivery services to pick up wine to go.
Right.
And that happened at the end of last year. During this debacle, he has allowed restaurants and bars, I suppose, if they can remain open, that sell a specific amount of food, to be able to sell wine and out the door. He's extended that to include cocktail kits. Now, the law says, according to TABC, and I talk with them 3 times a week at least, is that the bottle has to be smaller than 375 milliliters, and it has to be sealed by the manufacturer. So what that allows us to do is say, okay, great, we can give you a bottle of bourbon or a bottle of gin or a bottle of vodka, but we can't open it and we can't mix it with anything. But what I can do is send out, say, like vermouth-soaked olives, or bitters and Luxardo cherries and that kind of thing. So we're selling Manhattans, we're selling martinis, we're selling old fashions, and
it's a take and shake.
Mimosas, yeah, absolutely.
It's a take and shake.
I love it.
What we try to do is make sure that that our customers has the same, at least, drinking experience that they would had they be here. So
right.
We give them all the garnish and we give them all the little extras, the accoutrement that they'll need to create their own cocktails, and instructions, and it's enough for 5 or 6 cocktails, and it's great.
I guess that obviously the to-go business is all of the restaurant business is right now, at least in states that are shut down the way we are here in Texas, and I'm assuming that's just about everywhere. How tough, in your opinion, Marc, not talking about the Rainbow Lodge specifically, but just the entire bar and restaurant industry, assuming that we can be open again in a month or two, how difficult do you think this is all going to be to recover from?
Well, I think I think that we're probably going to spend a little bit of time trying to coerce the public to come back and to be among other people.
To feel okay about coming back out. Yeah.
If I had to guess, I think that there'll be a wave of people who are just tired of being at home and want to go out. And then I think that they'll kind of back off and go, well, wait a second, let's see how this thing is going to play out, and if there's any repercussions or if there's anything else going on. I think it'll take some time to do that, for people to congregate again.
From some of the things that I've read, there are some of the scientists and doctors who are expecting that once social distancing is relaxed, that it could spark another wave and have to be, implemented more tightly again. So my thinking is, if that's the case, I want to get in a couple of really good meals and some really good trips to my favorite places to eat and drink while we have the opportunity, if we're going to be shut back in again, So that's just my thought.
Yeah, and you were fortunate that, we've been around for 43 years, and, we're in a really great neighborhood with a lot of very loyal people, and so I think that that's helping, and daily we get dozens of people that pass through the drive-thru that say, look, we're just happy to see that they're doing this and that you're still here, and that we can still get, albeit takeaway, we can still get our favorite dishes. It's, of course, we'd rather have 200 people in the dining room, but second best is being able to take it home, and we're happy to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of restaurants are doing the whole meal preparation thing. Instead of just one meal, they're doing a lot of family meal stuff too. Are you guys doing family meal kind of things?
Yeah. Yeah, we do. On our website, there's two different takeout options that you can have. You can have a takeout meal for two, which is 3 or 4 courses, that includes dessert, and then there's a la carte, so people can mix and match and get kind of what they want. But for Easter, we have a takeout menu as well, where we're serving things like rack of lamb and delicious rolls and a lot of sides. Some really beautiful things that rib roast and some really beautiful things that you could take home to your family.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I wanted to mention, by the way, as we learn to do things with technology, and listen, today's show is proof that, this technology, we often say smoking and toasting versus the internet is our first segment. We'll tell guests that when they're in, because it's us trying to, connect to Facebook and just share it and invite people out, and usually the internet wins. The internet definitely won today, or at least technology did, because we had some some Skype issues and things getting things started. Fortunately, we were able to work everything out, but that is not going to deter us from trying something very new. And I want to pass this along. I've actually already posted this on the Smoking and Toasting Facebook page, so the details are there, but I'll share them with everyone here. And this is what it is. On Saturday afternoon, this coming Saturday, at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, Smoking and Toasting will host our first ever virtual Smoke Fest. It'll be on Zoom, and we're inviting anyone who wants to have a cigar or a pipe or anything else. If you want to smoke with us and just chat and talk about what we're smoking and maybe what we're drinking and what we're enjoying together, it's a chance to try to do that social thing that we enjoy going out and doing but can't right now. So let me give you the numbers. The Zoom ID, and write this down or go to our Facebook page because it's written down there, 416-693-5409. That is the Zoom meeting number. So it'll ask you to join. If you want to join a meeting, you enter that in Zoom. And then the meeting password, which Zoom is doing now because people apparently were drawing pictures of penises and stuff on other people's important business conferences. So now you have to have a password to join a meeting. And the password for our meeting is the number 7, lowercase e, the number 7 again, lowercase b, capital O, not 0, but capital O, and lowercase u. So 7E, 7B, capital O, U is the password. And again, that's a lot.
And for some of you, hold on. For some of you that are clever, if you hold that up to your camera so we can see it, we can just take a screenshot.
All right.
Give it just a couple
Ian,
moments
you're just way
here.
Smarter than I am.
Well, that's kind of an easy way. Yeah, just hold it up right there. You got the information. You can take a screenshot if you're on already. It's pretty easy. They also have a picture thing on Skype, but that way you guys can log on. And also on Facebook, you should get an invite. Awesome.
Yeah. All right. And by the way, that again, just to stress, that's 7E7B, capital O. That's not a 0, capital O. I don't know why they give us that confusing of a password, but that's what they did. So speaking of Smoke Fest, Ian, I see you're lit up. What are you smoking for us today? Oh, dude. You only did that because I'm too far away to come and snatch it out of your hand and throw it in the waste can.
I did this for 2 reasons. So this is a Nat Sherman Timeless.
Yes.
All right. And I know that we vowed, we're not going to buy cigars from Nat Sherman anymore. I'm smoking this for 2 reasons. One, because me and Alan both thought it would be funny to tweak your nose.
Yeah, Alan's good like that.
And 2, because I didn't actually buy this. It was given to me. Guess who by?
Oh, Mr. Chris Hart?
By Alan.
By Alan. Okay. All right. See,
so he gave this to me, and because I said I need a cigar to review on the show tomorrow. I was over there yesterday to grab some cigars, and he goes, "Okay, I'm going to give you a cigar to do the show." And he gave me this.
Well, okay. So for those who don't understand what this is about, Nat Sherman's parent company, which is a very large tobacco company that sells about 98% cigarettes and about 2% cigars, Nat Sherman. When the recent very onerous legislation was proposed that were putting huge restrictions on the cigar industry, were likely to put many small cigar makers and cigar companies out of business. Nat Sherman's parent company came out and said they actually supported this legislation and trusted that the government would ultimately make the right decisions.
Remember when the government made all the right decisions for us?
Yeah.
Never.
I don't recall that happening a whole lot. Coronavirus would be a perfect example of that not necessarily happening the way that it should. But anyway, it was at that point that I said, look, it's not a boycott, but I certainly won't be buying any more Nat Sherman cigars. And I was lucky because at that time, I didn't have any more of them in my humidor, so I didn't have to make that decision. Do I smoke it or throw it away?
So, and I agree with that, and I'm with you 100%. I thought not only would it be fun to tweak your nose a little bit, but to express something kind of sucks, really. This is a sad moment. I'm smoking a cigar. This is a Nat Sherman Timeless. And though I won't buy these anymore, as a gift, I'm fine with that. My conscience is clear. However, my conscience, not my conscience, that's different. My conscience is not clear. But what we're missing out on because of that is that this is a pretty damn good cigar.
Yes,
that I can't buy anymore due to moral reasons.
Yeah, I've smoked it before and I enjoyed it very much. It's actually now a lot of the Nat Sherman line I'm not that crazy about anyway. It's very it's very, very mild. Doesn't have as much flavor as I'm usually looking for. But that particular cigar, I thought that was really good.
This to me is very toasty and very nutty, with a little bit of complex spice going on in there, and it has a little bit of that earthy, that kind of Cuban seed earthiness that underlying the spice that I really enjoy. And like I said, I'm a little sad because it's probably the last one I'll have.
Well, I want to mention mine. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just going to guess, looking from the tiny little bit of your label, I can see that's an Oktoberfest.
It's not. It's a very interesting cigar, though. And I wanted to mention one of the reasons I kind of cut you off there is because I'm about to need to take this bottom band off. And before I do, I wanted to show that that's where's my camera? That's AJ Fernandez. This is something that AJ put together for the folks at, I believe, now I'm not going to remember. I believe it was Thompson Cigar. Yes, it was Thompson Cigar. So it's a house brand for Thompson, the Nicaraguan series from AJ Fernandez. And I got to tell you, so far, it's right on par. This is the Robusto. It's right on par with anything that AJ does in his own line or for Hoyo or any of the other guys. And it's a bit cheaper. So there you go. There's your momentary review. So I'll get back.
I had one of those Hoyos yesterday, by the way. It was fantastic.
So good. The La Amistad, they're so incredibly good. So incredibly good. Well, I'll get back to this in a little bit. I want to bring back our special guest today, our resident wine expert, Marc Borel from the Rainbow Lodge. Marc, we wanted to talk about wines to drink during the apocalypse. And I have a feeling you have some suggestions for us. So why don't we get started?
You bet. Absolutely. I think that every time that we visit, I bring something that has some fizz and some sparkle to it. And today is no exception.
I just want to mention the very first time you were on the show, that sparkling wine that you brought, the one that was from the UK.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. It's still one of my all-time favorites.
That's great. That's great. And so the thing, my point is that there's really no time no bad time to drink sparkling wine. It's not just a special occasion holiday wine, especially now when people are depleting their cellars and going through things in their refrigerator. If you've got that really nice bottle of champagne, I say drink it. But my point today is that I brought with me some actual champagne. In the past, we've talked about things that are sparkling wine that don't come from the Champagne region of France. This one actually does, and it's really affordable. This one's from Nicaraguan, and you could probably find it in the grocery stores and in your wine shops for less than $30.
Wow.
Typically on my list, it's in the $50 range. We have it here now for $25. And I've got a few of them. So if your listeners or your viewers get thirsty, they can come on by the Rainbow Lodge and pick up a bottle. But because it's kind of a special thing, and not or like a lot of people think that it's a special thing. I wanted to kind of demonstrate how one opens a bottle of champagne.
Oh, awesome!
Awesome.
Yeah. So I haven't opened this yet, and it's been sitting out. Now, ideally you want to let it be very, very cold before you open it. This one's been hanging out for a good 20 minutes or so I'm a little worried about it. But you don't have to be scared of it. The best thing is one of these. It's a towel. Really. And that will just go over the top of the bottle. Now I haven't taken the cage off, not yet at least, because that's where you get into trouble. This bottle has about 90 pounds of pressure in it. That's 3 times more than your car tire. And
Wow.
So if you put the towel on the bottle, it'll, in case something does happen, the towel will catch it rather than
it'll mitigate the energy. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and along those same lines, you definitely want to keep it facing away from you or anybody. The last thing you want is this to like hit you in the face.
No champagne-related injuries.
Yeah.
Well, the idea behind opening a champagne bottle, Mark, correct me if this is not correct, is you don't necessarily want to cause the big explosion. You want to contain that as much as possible, right?
That's right. They call it the kiss, the champagne kiss. And so you want that cork to just barely come out and the gas to emit, and that's pretty much it. If you have all that big fanfare and the champagne comes out of the bottle, guess what? You've just lost a glass of champagne. I want that.
Exactly. It always cracks me up in movies or TV shows where they go, "Bring me your most expensive bottle of champagne," and they bring it over, and then they, uncork it, and it, goes everywhere. I'm like, that's
half the bottle's gone, right?
Yeah,
right.
Like half the bottle.
So there's a little twisty thing, and I think everyone's familiar with it. It's when you twist that off, and again, I have this still under the towel, but I've twisted that off and loosen the cage on the cork a little bit. You can use the towel and the grip from the cage to help with the cork. And so basically you want to twist the bottle and let that cork just barely come out. I don't know if you heard that.
But it was very subtle. Yeah.
Just a little pop. Yeah.
And notice you don't have champagne spewing everywhere.
Yeah.
That's right. Because I want it to go in here, not on the floor.
Right.
That makes sense.
Speaking of, I think I will. So again, this is from Nicaraguan. It's I think it's a really great everyday bottle of champagne. I've been to the facility there in France, and they do such a really great job on it. They produce some really quality champagnes, but because they produce a lot of it, you don't have to pay for like some of the big names that you might see, and
Marc,
it's fairly well available.
Mark, let us see that bottle again and twist it around just so we get a full frontal view on that.
And also, while you're doing that, Michael Hall is on the comments on my live broadcast here, and he asks if you mail order wines.
I can't do that. The state won't let us
Can't do the mail order.
But we do encourage folks to. I assume that he might not be here in Houston, but I do encourage folks who can pass through and pick up a bottle to do so. By the way, you have to get a bite to eat. You have to have some sort of food with alcohol to go. But we have a few like little nibbles that would be great with this. I think that I know that when Adam was in, and certainly you, Cruz, I think we gave you some of those little fried quail bites, which are so great. Yeah, they're incredible. And one of the best pairings in the world is champagne and fried chicken.
Champagne and fried chicken.
Champagne and fried chicken sounds amazing.
And it's
so, Adam, we're hearing you. I don't know what happened there, and I think I might. Did I lose Mark? No, there he is. He's still there. All right. Well,
I'll tell you, if you've never been to the Rainbow Lodge to eat, you can't order anything that's not going to be amazing. Like, I don't think that's anything on the menu. There might be something you don't like because you don't like that food, but everything they make there is amazing. So I can't imagine. The hardest part about going there is deciding what to get because everything looks so good.
Marc, tell us again about the characteristics of that champagne.
So it's quite dry. A lot of people think that champagne has a bit of a sweetness to it, and there are some that have some residual sugar. It's called dosage. It's the way that the champagne is made. But this one is quite dry. This is their brut, which tells you about the amount of sugar that's been added at the end. And so it is quite dry. It's got these tiny little bubbles. It is it's quite a beautiful expression of champagne from this region, from Shui, the region south of Epernay.
Marc, can I ask you a sparkling wine question?
Go for it.
Prosecco is all the rage right now. I'm really a fan of the dry, not sweet style of champagne and sparkling wine. So the Proseccos that I've tried, I have not liked. Does that mean I don't like that? Yes. Does that mean that I don't like that iteration, or does it mean I haven't tried the right Prosecco yet?
That's okay. So generally speaking, a good number of champagnes of Proseccos rather have a little bit of that sweetness to it. That's frankly why they're so popular.
Right.
But I think your taste run to the drier side. And so I would, if I were you, I would stick with either champagne. There's another region in northern Italy called Franciacorta, which is often made exactly the way that champagne is made. You could also check some of the cava from that eastern side of
cavas, yes.
Spain, right? Yes. And what you want to look for is that word brut, because that will determine the amount of sugar that's in the bottle. And if you see that, you're more than likely gonna like it.
So brut is going to be a drier,
right,
less sweet overall.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Ian, I'm getting thirsty watching Marc having champagne, so I think you and I should. Well, you already started your beer, have you not?
No, I got a show beer here.
Oh, okay. Well,
Today's show beer is brought to you by Firestone Walker.
Oh, what a great show beer that is.
The 805. And
yes.
If you haven't had 805 and you want something that's just a beautifully light, it's not a light beer, but a lighter beer. And I think it's called a blonde ale or a pale ale. I can't remember exactly, but man, it's so good. It's just such a great, sessionable, amazing beer.
We've had it on the show before, and I've just what I always say to people is, if you're someone who doesn't really like, stouts or porters or IPAs, you have more mainstream beer taste, but you're looking for more flavor. This is a great way to go.
Outstanding.
When I was in,
go ahead.
I was just saying, when I spent a month in Los Angeles a year or two ago, and we did the show from out there, it was what I noticed when I went out. It was kind of like Shiner Bock is here in Houston. It was everybody had it on tap.
Yeah, everywhere there. Yeah,
it was extremely popular. So, but what are you going to open up here, Ian?
The Founders Porter. Now this, and I already opened it. I have a little opener on my wall over here that I just reached over and hit. It's within arm length of my chair, of course. Mm-hmm. But this Founders Porter, and I'm going to pour this so you can see the color of it. Oh, yeah.
That's nice.
This is a dark, rich porter, and it says on the label, it says dark, rich, and sexy. On the back of it, it says, pours silky black with a creamy tan head. The nose is sweet with strong chocolate and caramel. Malt presence, no absence of hops, gives this Founders Robust Porter the full flavor you deserve and expect. Cozy like velvet. It's a lover, not a fighter. I buy this regularly because you know me. I like darker, fuller beers. It is also, it's not real big. It's 6.5%. So it's not. Yeah. It's not debilitating until you have 6 of them. So
that's about like an IPA in terms of ABV.
But everything that they said about it is absolutely true. Like the aroma is wonderful. It's rich. It has a creamy sweetness to it, and not too much carbonation to counteract the creaminess and the flavor. So it's really truly enjoyable. And one of the things I love about this beer is you can let it sit out and it's fine warm. It's a little more bitter like coffee, but it's fine.
I love your beer glass, by the way. That's fantastic.
So for those of you in the know, this comes from there's a mustard that comes in this glass called Dusseldorf mustard. And when you finish the mustard, you have a great little taster glass here left over, and it's outstanding mustard as well.
All right, you guys are making me so thirsty. I'm gonna. I don't know if we
there you go.
or not. I don't know if we got any of that.
We got all that.
I'm doing all collaborations today. This is a collaboration between an excellent brewery from St. Louis called Four Hands, and they've collaborated with Shared Brewing Company, and this is called Street Sody. It's a double dry hopped hazy India Pale Ale, and I am so excited to get some. Oh, I don't know if you can see that, but that looks like I'm pouring orange juice. That's just it
does. Looks like you had a frosty glass too.
Yeah. Well, it was frosty. It came out of my freezer, then I slipped it into this little cooler that I brought out here with me, and wow, this has got so much citrus on the nose. It's almost like smelling an orange juice, to be honest.
Look at how the head just clings to the glass too.
Oh yeah. Well, I did a fairly aggressive Christopher Hart style pour, and I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna. Wow, Ian, I think you would actually really like this one. I know you're not the IPA guy, but we've tried several of these hazier, juicier ones that you've got. I just want you to look at the color in the glass. I mean, it's so. This is really a hazy IPA. I mean, it looks like an orange juice, and it tastes delicious.
It looks like orange juice that you had a little ice in. It's like a barely watered down orange juice.
And it just has a very refreshing. The carbonation level is perfect. The finish is almost like a grapefruit and mango. So it starts with the orange juice flavor, and then it ends up with just a little of that grapefruity mango sort of flavor. One of the things I wanted to share from the can is, occasionally the breweries will put on their can what it goes with or what it pairs with. I know the folks at Anchorage will often mention not only a food, but even a cigar that their beer would pair with. In this case, Four Hands says the pairings for this particular beer are cheese puffs and beef jerky. And I have to say, I think they're right. Although I'd love to try it with some of those fried quail nuggets you were.
It'd go great with the quail, absolutely.
Oh man, that'd be fantastic. So, all right, we're a beer in and a wine in, and I wanted to correct myself, by the way, about my Nicaraguan series by AJ Fernandez. Thankfully, I do have access to the internet, and discovered I was wrong. It's not a specialty product for Thompson. It's from JR Cigar. Bless you. So sorry about that. There's no way to do that away from the mic when the mic is connected to your ear. I should have pulled the butt out for a moment. In any case, it's smoking great, and we talk sometimes about IPAs and cigars struggling against each other. Not the case with the Street Sody. This is working just fine. So Marc, let's come back to you for another wine.
Yeah, you bet. So it's getting warm, and big heavy reds, while are very, very popular, might not be the best choice for enjoying a cigar sitting outside like you are. Yeah. So what I brought was a Pinot Grigio. This is from so another crisp, very dry, kind of light style red white wine from northern Italy, from Friuli, which is the extreme north and eastern side of Italy, the part that touches Slovenia and Croatia. And this is from Venica and Venica. I see these guys every year in Germany. Speaking of Dusseldorf, I go every year for this wine show and really enjoy hanging out with these guys. They do such a great job with Pinot Grigio, and I think it's a beautiful expression of Pinot Grigio because it kind of throws people a little off. I don't know if you can tell, but this has kind of a copper hue to it. It's not.
Yeah, it's got a little reddish to it.
Yeah, it's not a crystal clear white wine. It has a bit of a pinkness to it, and that's because the Pinot Grigio grape itself isn't a white grape. It's kind of an off grayish, kind of slightly red, kind of in between red and white style of grape. And this particular producer is going old school and is leaving it on the skins for just a little bit. And what it does is it gives it a little color. I think most Pinot Grigio, before it becomes filtered, does have a little color to it. But it also gives it a little bit of texture and flavor, and I think it's beautiful.
Now, when you say you leave it on the skins a little longer, that adds a little bit of dryness to the finish too, doesn't it? Yeah,
it does. I tell people all the time that think about when you're in the grocery store and you pick a grape from the produce department and you bite into it, and the first thing you get is that burst of juice. But as you chew, it becomes bitter, not in an unpleasant way, but it does come a little bitter and your mouth dries out. Those are the tannins and the skins of the grape. Same thing with walnuts. You get that tannic structure, and that's what this little bit of color is going to give you, just a little bit of body, and so that I think that a lot of people would consider Pinot Grigio specifically as a nothing but white, the style of food, fish and some light boiled seafood and that kind of thing. I think this would go great with a pork chop. That'd be on the grill.
Nice.
Yeah, or really some spicy sausage. I think this would really stand up to it.
Mark, I enjoy.
So friendly for grilling too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, this would be great, and especially being outside on the grill.
Yeah, Mark, I enjoy a good glass of Chardonnay from time to time, but I have to say, just for my personal taste, I almost enjoy the Pinot Grigio or even a Cabernet Sauvignon. Or am I saying the right? The other Blanc. White, the Sauvignon Blanc. Sorry, that's so I enjoy those almost more. There's something about those styles that just seem so refreshing and thirst quenching. You said, if you're eating some spicy sausage or something, they really do a nice job complementing.
Absolutely.
That.
Well, it doesn't get very cold for very long here in Houston, and I think that white, and I brought that Texas rosé the last time we met. I think that those do really, really well in Texas, and I don't think that there's a bad time of the year in Texas to drink a substantial white wine or a really nice rosé. I have 6 rosés on the list here at Rainbow, and they're all regularly in the $40 range, and so we've got them all at $20. And they're flying off the shelves right now. People are going nuts over these rosé. And I think the same thing about something like this. It's not super light and crisp, although it is. But because it has that little bit of tannic structure, and I think it goes really well with food. 13.5%. So certainly not an 11 or 12% very light white wine. And I think that has a lot to do with its structure and its
tell us
texture.
the price point for that. Is that an expensive bottle?
Actually, no. On the list at Rainbow, it runs $42. Now, during this epidemic, we're selling it out the door for $21.
Nice. I want to point out, too, that your background, where you're sitting in your wine cellar, is amazing. I'm loving to look at that, too. That's awesome.
Thank you. We've worked hard on the cellar here at the lodge, and few people get a chance to take a peek in it, and so I thought this was a great opportunity to kind of show it off.
Yeah, I kind of feel like I came to the restaurant and you're like, "Hey, come check this out." That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Well, we've done some remodeling in here too.
Go ahead, Mark.
I said we've done a little bit of remodeling. I have a new rack here in the middle that you can't see right now from this angle, but it's certainly helping keep the camera up.
Yes. Well,
nice.
I'll just say, Ian, I mentioned this when you were getting situated at the beginning of the show, but if you've read about those people that are preppers, that they prep out their basement with all this food and stuff to last them in the case of the apocalypse, Mark is officially the greatest prepper I've ever seen, based on what's behind him. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
nice.
if it all hits the fan, I want to come hang with you. Okay.
Absolutely, I got plenty.
All right. Good.
We can secure that cellar against zombies.
Yeah, we
Yes, that's,
certainly can.
there's a lot.
We
There's a
certainly
lock
can.
on the door, but we've got it all worked out.
I wanted to mention that, we talked about delivery, and Adam, I sent you a picture. You'll know which one that I'm talking about here. Maybe you can put that up. And Mark, I wish you could see it, but Skype won't let you see it the way we're doing this. But there is, maybe I can find it on my phone and show it to you on the camera. There's a great story I came across about delivery and curbside. And in Maryland, there's the Stonehouse Urban Winery in Hagerstown, Maryland, and they have enlisted the services of a wine delivery dog, and his name is Soda Pup. He's a 75-pound Brindle boxer. Here is a picture of Soda Pup. And,
I saw that yesterday.
I think Adam has one he can put up. So he's who greets you when you go by for curbside delivery. You've ordered your wine, and they send Soda Pup out with it strapped to his body. And, it makes me think of those St. Bernards that had the whiskey barrel around their neck. It seems like it's our coronavirus version of that. I thought that was just an awesome story.
There's a picture. I can offer our assistant manager Daniel, who can come out to the car for you, but unfortunately I don't have a dog.
Daniel will have to do. Perhaps he can, just
strap it to his back.
Friendly. Yeah, exactly.
I've heard him wolf before. It'll be fine.
Yeah. There's some very interesting and kind of depressing articles that I ran across this week about craft breweries in the time of this coronavirus, because so many, especially the smaller craft breweries, so much of their sales is on premise, people coming to the tap room and doing all of this. Some of these stories are saying that a lot of craft breweries, as many as a third, may not survive 3 months of this kind of lockdown. Just financially, it'll be too much for them to bear. I was wondering how you thought, Mark, this was affecting the wine industry. I know there's got to be certain areas where they're not harvesting now and should be harvesting, correct?
Well, harvest isn't until September.
Okay.
Late August. Yeah, it's late August through about October-ish, depending on where they are, and at least this side of the northern hemisphere. So at least with the grapes, that's not an issue. And right now winemakers are pretty isolated on their own. They've doing their thing. They're checking the tanks. They're checking the barrels. They're tasting through, maybe doing some blending. But they're still able to do some curbside things. I'm seeing that in California and elsewhere. But and mail order, obviously, your guy in Mississippi would be happy getting a mail order delivery from one of the wineries there. But there might be some minimums to take care. I think the wine industry itself, the vineyards and the wineries, will be okay. They might have some extra stock, but what that means is that in 2 or 3 years they'll release this year's vintage that might be something special, or maybe they hold back on it because they have so much of it. So maybe they didn't sell that much of it. I think the real tragedy is going to be, like you said, with the breweries, with some of the restaurants that may not have been around for as long as we have, that may not have the operating capital to be able to keep going. You're seeing a lot of our hourly staff and the hourly restaurant staff all throughout the country now are having difficulties because there's no place for them.
Right.
Some of the smaller resourceful restaurants are using their small staff to do deliveries and to help out in the kitchen. But when you're talking about some of these newer restaurants that blow up and have a really huge staff, and those are the ones that I worry about.
Yeah. I just want to say we've talked about this the last couple of weeks, and I want to repeat it again. We really encourage you, everyone, to do what you can. If you're still employed, you have the ability to do this. Do what you can to support your local craft breweries, your restaurants, places that are your favorite, bars that are offering curbside or to go. Try to patronize these guys. Try to make a purchase. Try to do something to support them. Here in Houston, there is a new service which you can check out on the web. It's called Hop Drop. They will go to the craft breweries, pick it up, and deliver it to your doorstep. Obviously, Marc, you told us about you guys having the drive-through service, and you're perfectly situated for it. You've almost got a drive-through right in front of the
Yeah,
the
that's right.
there.
You know, we use our valet entrance. It's covered and it's really nice.
So
But
I want to point out
another point that I wanted to bring over is since you've mentioned that is that, you know, while a lot of restaurants are incorporating the use of third-party delivery sites like Uber and Postmates and Grubhub, we're on all of those sites as well. But if you can call and go pick it up yourself, it makes such a big difference, because some of these delivery services will charge up to 30% of the ticket just to bring it, for the ability for them to come here and pick it up and bring it to you, and we're happy to have the business, don't get me wrong, but if you can, and our online ordering will be available in the next couple of days, so if you can, call your favorite restaurant, see what they have, look at their menus online, and then go and pick it up. It's better. It's for the restaurant in your local.
Better for the restaurant. It's a better way to support. Yeah.
So I wanted to point out there's some people out there doing stuff for good. Our buddy Travis Whitmire over at Whitmire's Distilling here in Houston. I don't know if you've heard about this, but he's been making hand sanitizer.
Yeah,
he has been making batches and batches of it. He has donated over 6,100 gallons of hand sanitizer, and if I understand it correctly, you will get a free hand sanitizer if you go by the brewery or the distillery.
Oh wow!
And it's a big bottle too. It's because I think he doesn't have any small ones. It's a big bottle of it, but he's donated tons of hand sanitizer out to the communities.
Tito's handmade vodka, also out of Texas, has begun to create a whole line of hand sanitizer that they're donating to game wardens. Might be an area of public service that is maybe overlooked in this time. And I got to see a picture of the Tito's hand cleanser, and it's my favorite one I've seen so far that a distillery has come up with, because on the bottle it has to say, "For hands only, do not drink." So, that's right. So I was able to pick up a bottle of hand sanitizer this week that was made by a distillery. My wife found it when she went to Kroger, to the grocery store, made by a local distillery. And it's interesting because it's a liquid. You know, we're used to it being a gel. This is a liquid, almost like vodka. I can see how you might mistake it for that. And,
we got some here at the lodge, and it kind of, it almost smells like vodka, but really it certainly does the trick.
I think Tito's is smart to be putting a do not drink warning on the on the hand sanitizer. All right, Ian, what else are you drinking with us today?
Well, funny you should ask.
You really enjoy this part of the show, the beer review.
The next beer I brought is the Open Gate Brewery Guinness. This is the one in Baltimore, Maryland.
Oh, right.
So Guinness opened a brewery in Baltimore that I really want to go to at some point, by the way. It's called Open Gate Brewery, and this is the Over the Moon Milk Stout. Now, I'm going to point out, you did mention that this is the second week in a row I've brought a Guinness product, and I'm quite okay with that. One of the things about Guinness is I have never tried a beer, except for one, that I don't really care for. And apparently it's a good beer, and I just don't really care for it. So and that's the Foreign Extra Stout, which is a little bitter for me. I just like a lot of their other stuff better. But they've kind of gone onto the craft brewery idea and gone, okay, well, we could do more than just our Guinness Stout. And they made an American style ale. They've done quite a few different ones. Last week was the barrel aged stout. This is the Over the Moon Milk Stout. Let me put this up next to my mic.
That worked well. Thank you.
Nice. So, and this is, again, very Guinness-like in appearance. A little fizzier than Guinness, as you can see. Well, yeah. I poured that a little hard intentionally. And you can see that head sits on there pretty hard. Plus, it's also warmed up a little bit out here. I have it in one of my little koozies, which works pretty well. But it's pretty warm out here. You know what? It occurred to me that a lot of people drink lighter beers when it's hot. I don't think I care that much. I drink whatever I'm in the mood for when it's hot.
I hear you.
This says luxuriously smooth and sweet with creamy notes of chocolate and coffee, made at our Open Gate Brewery in Baltimore, Maryland, where we combine 250 years of Guinness brewing experience in Ireland with American beer creativity. I love that they do that because they're literally giving a shout out to what the American breweries have done to beer. Like, they've blown it up. They've been so incredibly creative. They've broken styles, so many over the last bunch of years, and 250 years of Guinness brewing, and they're changing because people want more flavors. I think that's amazing that a company that's that established will do that too, even though they probably don't have to, because people drink Guinness anyway.
I remember when they opened a Baltimore brewery, one of the things I remember reading about it was that they wanted to tap into the creative spirit of American brewers, which I think is so cool.
So now that the head is settled down, on the nose, this smells like very much like coffee and bitter chocolate and a little tiny bit of hops on the end, which, you don't usually smell a lot of hops on a stout, but you smell it. And of course, there's the malt profile that just hits you in the face first. This, I'm going to compare it to it actually might be a shade lighter than my porter that I'm drinking.
Wow.
But this is my first taste of it, by the way. It is smooth. It is creamy. This is like a semi-sweet chocolate milkshake almost with malt. Yeah, this is delicious right out of the can, just like that.
That's awesome.
Temperature-wise, it's probably at about 60, 65 degrees. It's not really cold, and it tastes amazing just like that.
Mark, I know you're a wine guy, but when you decide to go for a craft beer, what styles are your favorites? What do you usually go darker? You go lighter?
I go lighter. I'm a girly beer drinker. I like them light and fruity, but it's just because I don't often drink beer. It has its place. If I'm sitting in 100-degree heat eating 5 pounds of crawfish, the beer is the first thing I want to go to.
Oh yeah.
Which, by the way, I was just going to mention that Adam and his wife took me for crawfish right before everything kind of went into lockdown, and we went and had Viet Cajun crawfish. Okay, there's nothing like it. It is the greatest thing ever. And you're right, we ordered very light beers and chugged them down because that's what you do. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. I just for my taste, I'm a whiskey drinker. I'm a beer drinker. I like them. I like the brown spirits, and I like the wine, and so I'm pretty much going to gravitate to that.
Well, I'm going to open this one up. I have a feeling it may be somewhat similar. I think I opened it on the wrong side, so you probably didn't get it.
Peanut butter espresso bonbon.
Peanut butter espresso bonbon. It's a collaboration from NOLA and Southern Pines Brewing Company, and I can tell just from looking in the top of the can how dark and chocolatey this is. Yeah, I mean that looks almost like a
I love,
milkshake, doesn't it?
I love when you get the can. Hold that can up. When you get that can with the obviously stuck on printed label, you have something that is a limited run, and because what a lot of breweries do is they buy those cans, and then they
just showed up late.
Hey, at least it showed up this time.
At least it showed up. Yes. All right, we'll get back to that. I'm sorry. You were talking about the stick-on label. Yeah, but yes, this is more of a limited release, something they've done, kind of special. So,
a lot of breweries, what they'll do is when they do limited runs, they buy the cans in bulk, and then they just print the labels as necessary. and stick them on there. So it's really nice when you get that kind of paper label. Of course, it feels a little less refined than the can that has it printed directly on the can. However, you know you're getting something that's going to be a limited run, and it makes it just a little cooler to me.
On the nose, Ian, this smells very much like a peanut butter espresso bonbon. So I have a feeling
That's surprising.
Yeah, I have a feeling they may have aced what they were trying to do here. So, all right. You know the term dessert wine? This is a dessert beer. That's exactly what this is.
Sweet?
It is. What's that?
Is it very sweet?
It's a little bit sweet, but not so much. You know, I sometimes struggle if beer is too sweet because it just doesn't feel like it fits that particular the particular thing that you're drinking. But it's got a sweetness to it, but the espresso flavors give that sort of espresso bitterness and kind of counteract it, so it doesn't come across like too much of a sweet bomb. But the sweetness does kind of make it play with your palate after you've swallowed it, and the finish has got a little sweetness and a little bitterness at the same time. It's a really interesting sensation.
I want to point out
delicious.
when you're talking about a beer like that, I just want to say pecan pie.
Oh yeah,
I was thinking the same thing.
Pecan pie, and I will tell you that out of all the beers I've tried, and I like pecan pie. Out of all the beers I tried, the Breckenridge Vanilla Porter, which is almost a little too sweet to drink regularly, although I put up with it because it's delicious. That and a pecan pie, they kind of form like Voltron and create this amazing thing on your palate. So the next time you see Breckenridge, this is for everyone out there, the next time you see Breckenridge Vanilla Porter, if you can pick up a bottle or two or even a 6-pack and a pecan pie, trust me, you will not be unhappy.
And for those who don't live south of the Mason-Dixon line, pecan pie is a delicacy in the South. You can find it in the North, because when I lived up in Boston, I found it. But it's particularly, I think, a Southern thing. And, when you taste it, to me, it just tastes Southern. So I'm interested in this Voltron combination.
It's pretty amazing, yeah. It's pretty amazing.
Mark, what else did you bring for us to talk about wine-wise?
So I have one other bottle, and I thought that since I was bringing the value wines with the champagne and the Pinot Grigio, that we'd go a little big on the red. And so what this
Nice.
is this is a William Sellium. Now again, the other two wines have, I think, some availability retail wise. This you probably won't find. This is from William Sellium. This is from their Farrington vineyard. It's a single vineyard Pinot Noir from the Russian River in Sonoma County, California, and they have been around for a while. They do such a great job on this. This is the 2016 Pinot Noir, and with Pinot, what you're going to get is something a little lighter bodied, still a warm weather wine, really good like cherry cola notes to it, but a lighter bodied red wine that does great with grilled meats, no matter how they're dressed or spiced. I think that this would do well. Oftentimes we recommend Pinot Noir to our guests because I think it's a bit more crowd friendly. Perhaps the woman wants something light and fruity, and the man wants something big and rich, and this kind of cuts right in the middle. It's red, which ticks that box, but it has good fruit, what helps both of them really enjoy it, and it goes great with. I think I would have this with fish, especially fish on the skin, with cooked with crustacean like shrimp or even a heavier lobster would go great with this.
So you mentioned that this is tougher to find at retail, but you do have it available. If
I do. right
in the
behind
Houston
me.
area wants to pick it up curbside.
I've got probably 15 bottles of it here, and it's a really great bottle. Normally on the list it's in the 177 range, but this is a time to start drinking things in your cellar and really enjoying a Tuesday afternoon or a Thursday before watching the news. 115 takeout right now from the
Wow.
lodge.
I just wanted to mention
Nice.
that in the time of the coronavirus, and you're self-isolating at home, or maybe it's just you and a loved one, or you and family, I feel like any day that you continue to survive is a special occasion, and therefore it justifies the special occasion wines like
Absolutely.
this Pinot that you're talking about.
Absolutely.
And special occasion cigars. I've had several of my special occasion cigars over these last couple of weeks that I've been saving, just because, hey, does it get more special than being alive to fight another day?
Well, and one of the
I
reasons
took the,
I chose a Pinot was because I think that with my limited knowledge about cigars, but I think that as a Pinot Noir from California or even Oregon would do really, really well with a cigar because of that cherry cola kind of notes that you get out of that, the little bit of light fruit, that red fruit that you get from a Pinot Noir, I think works really, really well with a cigar and sitting outside on the terrace.
I don't pretend to know that much about wines, but I will say that the ones that I have enjoyed most with cigars, most of them have been Pinot Noirs.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I chose this one.
Ian, you were going to say something earlier?
Oh, I was just gonna say, you're talking about the special occasion cigars. I had smoked through all my not so special occasion cigars within the last few days, and so I called our friend Alan over at Galveston Island Cigar Lounge. I said, "Look, this is the trouble I'm having. Every time I smoke a cigar now, it's between $14 to $30." He goes, that could be a problem. So he put together a box of cigars for me. I went down and picked up, and it was absolutely wonderful. That's when I picked up this cigar as well. Absolutely wonderful. He had it ready for me. Like he already had it in his mind what he was getting me. It was I said, look, this is how much I'm going to spend, and he put it together for me. It was fantastic. So if you can support your locals, even your cigar shops are going to help, even with those kind of services.
Well, that's absolutely right. And this is something we want to encourage people to do. If your local cigar shops are offering any kind of delivery or a grab and go,
Curbside.
We encourage. I mean, it's easy to order things online. I've certainly done some online ordering, but I've also made sure that I've swung by and supported some of my locals and at least grabbed a few cigars, because it's important during this time. Just like it's important to support the restaurants that you want to make sure are still there and alive and kicking and able to take care of us when we're on the other side of all this. And by the way, some of that restaurant food that you grab curbside and take home, in some ways it almost tastes even better. Maybe it's just because we're not, because we're in this weird situation. But man, I'm just thinking about some of that elk from the Rainbow Lodge. What that would taste like for dinner tonight. Oh my God. You know what I mean?
It would be great. And I think a lot of the thoughtful restaurants have put some thought into what it is that they're offering. Certain things just don't travel well. Like you probably wouldn't want to buy a panna cotta or a creme brulee to go because it's typically baked in the container that it's served in. So a lot of these restaurants will have to do some creative display techniques to really make sure that what you're getting does travel well, and it could be 10 or 20 minutes before you leave here and you go to your dining room table. And so we had to put some thought into making sure that what you got at home tasted like it does here.
Not a lot of bananas.
Yeah, some foods will stand up. And one of the problems is if you have something that's really crispy, sometimes by the time you get it home, it's not so crispy, and that doesn't translate as well.
Yeah, it'll steam in the container. The heat from the fryer, it'll steam in the container.
Yeah, French fries don't travel well, and I know that's not your bag there, but French fries just don't travel well.
Yeah,
you have to take those on the way
great
home.
French fry.
Well, I don't doubt that, but again, they steam and I like crispy French fries. So
my wife has a great thing for that. When we do order something from a delivery service that French fries are involved. Before we eat, she'll pull them out, put them on a tray, and just toast them a little bit in the oven and bring back a little of that crispiness. It actually does work really well. Actually does
Smart
work really
lady.
well. Yes, she is. She's made some great decisions in life. I have no idea why she agreed to marry me. Other than that, she's awfully smart. I just wanted to mention this this peanut butter espresso bonbon has gotten. I'm a cold beer guy, but this has gotten even better as it has warmed up. The flavors are more distinct. You can really kind of now taste the peanut butter a little more. This is a delicious beer. Ian, this is probably more up your alley than mine. I wish we were sharing this because I think you would love it.
I want to point out that this is the first beer that I opened. This is the Founder's Porter.
Yes.
And this is just about outside temperature with my fan blowing right now, and it's still delicious. As a matter of fact, the espresso flavors are bigger and fuller, and the sweetness is coming through right now with a bitter snap on the end. It's a little more extreme than it was when it was cold, and I like it. I'm enjoying it very much.
Ian, while you grab your whiskey, your Knob Creek, and get that ready, I want to show this back to the camera again and invite anyone who wants to join us for the Smoking and Toasting Virtual Smoke Fest. It's going to take place Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central on Zoom. And there's the info. If you're listening to the audio.
Okay, hold it up a little to the other side of the camera, and I'll read it off. So the Zoom thing, that's perfect. Perfect right there. So the Zoom meeting is 416-693-5409. Again, 416-693-5409. And the password is 7, letter E, 7, 6, letter O, U.
I think, by the way,
7.
Ian, that's my bad handwriting, but that's 7E7 lowercase b.
Oh, okay. 7,
and
letter E, 7, letter B, letter O, letter U. 7E7 BOU.
And that O.
So yeah, if you get a chance,
lowercase.
We're gonna have a party right there on Zoom, having cigars.
And by the way, Ian, if it's just you and me and Adam, we'll enjoy the hell out of it.
Hell yeah!
So anybody else that wants to join us anybody else that wants to join us, and please, if you don't smoke, you want to just join us and talk about what you're drinking. That's what it's all about. It's just about being social in this time when we, don't get to sit next to each other at a bar or hang out at our favorite restaurant and enjoy so many of these beers that I've had here, Ian, in the last couple of weeks on the show. I've just really wished I was there with you to share them, and so this will be the closest thing. So, all right, I heard that.
I don't know if you got to hear that, but here we go. As you can see, I may have tried this rye. I may have poured myself a little generous there. I may have tried this rye a time or two. Now, rye is one of those things that I'm only really in a mood for once in a while, or with an old fashioned. I think the old fashioned with rye is really good. Knob Creek rye, twice barreled rye that I have here. The nose on this is so engaging. It's bright and sweet and spicy right off the nose. I mean, you can smell it like it's like a whiskey flower. Like, I don't know how else. Like, it just kind of blooms in the glass as far as the nose goes. And the malt and rye, the rye is so big in here that the malt's underlying, and it's just a tiny little bit beneath it for sweetness. And it just, keep in mind, this bottle is warm. It's been sitting in my house and it's been sitting outside, and it still comes across with a nice, warm, crisp notes of vanilla. There's almost a marshmallow kind of thing going on the very end of this. The as weird as that may sound, it really has a little bit of that, and that rye spice just livens it up, and it gives it kind of a brighter flavor, especially when it's warm outside, I think.
I'm going to open the Yellow Rose here. And by the way, Did you hear that?
Yes.
Maybe not. Oh yeah. Okay. Good.
That came
And by
across
the way,
really well.
I've been accused by people like, oh, I don't know, Ian, and perhaps my wife, of being one of those people who has trouble letting go of things. Like, let's just say someone was scheduled to be on the show and didn't show up.
I'm actually surprised. I'm actually surprised that you can pick up that bottle and open it because you have a grudge in your other hand that you're holding on to pretty tight.
What I'm trying to get at is this is me letting go. This is me going, okay, you know what? They make a single malt. Let's have some of it. Let's see how this works. So this is
I wish
me
I had
letting go.
that. I wish I had that song from Frozen, the "Let It Go" song, so I could play it right now.
You certainly
Let
put
it
it
go.
in all of our heads.
Let it go.
The earworm will now stay with us for the rest of the day. No, you know what? It's a strange time we find ourselves in. It's time to reevaluate maybe some of the things we're holding on to that are not that important, and maybe this is one of them. And maybe it's a good time to try their single malt. So
I'm going to point out that the last time I had Yellow Rose was at the Whiskey Sniff, but at the very first one.
Yes.
That's the last, and it was absolutely outstanding. The bottle that he brought was absolutely amazing.
I'm pretty sure this is a different bottle, but I will tell you that on the nose, wow, it's honey is what I'm getting on the nose. I don't know if that'll show up in the flavor profile, but it's almost so much honey on the nose that you would think maybe it's a honeyed whiskey, but clearly it's not that. It's their single malt, and I'm looking at this. It's batch number 18-1. It's 40%, and it is made from 100% malted barley and pot distilled in Texas. It's bottle number 793, and here we go. Well, I have to say it's really, really good. It tastes a bit more like a bourbon than I was expecting. It's got some of those oaky and maple sort of flavorings to it that you expect from a bourbon, but it's the honey is definitely there. I have to say, it may have shown up late, but it showed up, and thanks to my wife, by the way, for bringing it out. And it's delicious. And I need to share this with you the next time we drink together because I think you would like it. It's quite good.
Well, I can't wait till that happens. I think you guys were talking earlier about when this is all over, how people are going to react. I can't help but wonder if everyone's going to be so starved and so cabin feverish that they immediately just swamp the bars. I can only hope that that's the way it happens.
I remember
for the bars.
I remember when I lived in St. Louis, Missouri, years ago. I used to go up to Chicago quite frequently for weekend trips because plane flights were cheap, and just to be honest, Chicago was a much more interesting city. And I remember going up to Chicago on what was coincidentally the first warm weekend of the spring. It was like the first time it wasn't just bitterly cold. The sun was out. It was nice. And I swear there was a person on every single blade of grass outside in Chicago. Talk about people who just had such cabin fever from being inside for so long. And every square inch of sidewalk and grass, there were just people getting out, going places, going to shops, restaurants, bars. And I have a feeling that's what this is going to be like everywhere once it's okay. I mean, I'm sure we're going to need to be still distancing to some degree for a while. So maybe there'll be people everywhere all 6 feet apart. I don't know. But I
sure hope so.
I'm excited to just be able to sit next to someone at a bar, even if it is 6 feet away. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's it just feels like it's been the social aspect of this is something I don't think any of us, could have been prepared for. And that's why I enjoy doing the show so much during this time. And it's why we're doing the virtual Smoke Fest, just to give people a chance to, be social and smoke together, So, guys, I really appreciate you joining us for the show. Marc, it's always a pleasure to have you on. I'll admit, it is more fun to have you on when we can taste the wine that you're
I know.
tasting. But
Now you have to
bring in
drink all that by yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Somehow I'll manage.
So, Marc, once again, you mentioned you guys are about to get online up and going.
Yeah, so we
in
had a
terms of
little
ordering?
test with some online ordering, and it was very successful. And then there was a little glitch, and so we're trying to get that worked out. That should be up within the next day or two. And because I think a lot of people, even though they want to be social, are very happy sitting on their couch and punching a button, and then being able to come and get it. And not only that, but it's contactless, and we can just drop it in your trunk or on your seat, and you can go. It's paid for. It's done. The alternative is the deliveries from our third parties, and all of that information is on our website at rainbow-lodge.com, including the takeout menus that we have. We're doing Sunday brunch on Sundays, and Sunday is Easter, so we've got some Easter takeaways as well. But the entire wine list is on the website as well, and you can feel free to call me. I'm here all the time. You can feel free to call me. I'm here at the lodge, and I'm happy to talk with you about whatever wines you're looking for. We've done cases out the door at a time to a bottle here and there, and it's just happy to be able to help get something in someone's glass, even when I can't do it at the table.
So making wine recommendations is what you do. You're happy to do that over the phone.
Absolutely, it's my job. It's my passion.
Yeah. So we
Awesome.
appreciate you sharing some of that with us today. We really do.
Thank you so much.
So we just had a question online as well. What time was the Smoke Fest again? That's going to be 11 to 1. 11 to 1 this Saturday.
Actually, no, Ian. It's 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central.
Oh. On the details. Oh, it is April 11th at 1 p.m. My fault.
Yes.
No?
Yeah. Wanted to correct you there. The details on the virtual Smoke Fest are on our Facebook page. If you would like, if it would be easier, if you want to just in the comments to that event, if you want to just post your email, we'll send you an email invite to it if that's easier. Or you can just go to Zoom, plug in that meeting number, and then type in that password. And if you have any trouble, just talk about it in the comments on the Facebook page. We'll be watching those as we do the Zoom. So I'm looking forward to this, Ian. Like I said, even if it's just you and Adam and me, it'll be fun.
I might do my education on how to shotgun a beer again as well.
Oh, that would be great. See, I was kind of hoping you could invite your buddy Marc, who we had on the show, not Marc Borel, but your friend Marc, who came on the show, and at one point when you and I were engaged in a conversation about something that he wasn't a part of, he just cracked open a beer and shotgunned it like on camera without any explanation. It was one of the most beautiful moments of the show. I'm kind of hoping he'll do that. He'll join us and do that on the Zoom. Just sit there and shotgun beers.
I'll make sure he knows.
I'm happy to finish this bottle if it'll help.
Excellent, Marc. Thank you so much, Marc Borel from the Rainbow Lodge. You are easily one of our all-time favorite guests. I'll just say it here: you're way more fun to have on than Alan Denny or Chris Hart, and we appreciate very much having you on the program.
Thanks again for having me. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, Alan, that was for the Nat Sherman thing. I'll get you back for that. Don't worry. Guys, have a wonderful week. We appreciate all of you. This is the week I laid the grudge with Yellow Rose to rest. This is a landmark week. Thank you, everyone. And
cheers.
We love you all. And we'll be back next Thursday, same time. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Virtual clink.